Welcome back. Another episode of the Hawk Vision podcast. Guys, you know what it is. Wherever you're listening, however you're listening, I know you could be anywhere, but you're here to rock with us. Um, like, share, subscribe, all the normal stuff that we have to say that I hate saying because I don't like being politically correct, but I do need you to hit that button. The guest that I have, I'm super excited, guys. You guys know the beginning of the year starts. We all have these hopes and dreams that we tell ourselves that we know may never actually happen. We call them New Year's resolutions. And while we always intend for the best, somewhere deep down we know that we might not hit them all. We're gonna try. We're gonna get real close. We might not hit them all. Outside of losing weight, it's always about the money and the finances. So our guest today, absolute superstar in the realm of finance. She has over 15 years in the industry. She's helped over 3,000 people. Matter of fact, that probably should be like 30,000 if we add in her online community. Understand money better. Most importantly, she has a social media platform, like I said, that is on fire. Thousands of people in her community tap in religiously to learn tips, tricks, and facial expressions. Um, you can too. You'll be able to follow her as well. But world famous, welcome to the show, Attiquewa Green, that finance chick. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, absolutely. I wasn't gonna let us start this whole thing and not talk about the facial expressions. Like, it's part of my favorite. I subscribe to possibly, you have the notifications on. I possibly have 10 notifications on, and yours is one because I know I'm getting some real life facial expressions out of your information. Like, I love it.
Facial expressions have been getting me into trouble ever since I was a kid. It ain't going anywhere.
I love it. I love it. So I always want to be respectful of my guest time. Thank you so much for carving out time of your day. I know it's content day, and we were just talking about that as well. Let's jump in for the people that have not been on Instagram or TikTok or like anywhere. Let's talk about your background and how you became that finance chick.
All right. Well, I have been in the finance industry for over 11 years now, and I specialize in helping women create fully functioning wealth building systems. I got a lot of slack for that because if you don't know, the beginning of, or the middle of last year, I changed my audience and my model, and people are like, "Well, what about the men?" And I'm like, "It's nothing personal, but
Nobody ever wants to help us with nothing. That's cool. We get it. We get it. All the entrepreneurs are like, all the women entrepreneurs that I've had like 50, and they're like, I help women. I'm like, what do we do? But keep going. I'm sorry. I just had to get that out. You know.
but I started this journey of mine. One, it was on accident actually. So I started working in the bank when I was 16. The branch that I worked for, they actually had a branch inside of my high school. And that was the time where I'm like, I'm looking for a job. I need gas for my car. I just want to go shop. I want to go party. And my mom is not trying to give me any more money. And I'm not trying to come home smelling like French fries. So I need to find a job that pays me good and I don't smell like fries. So I started working for a local credit union. And as time went on, I realized I was helping a lot of people like 6 times, I'm not going to say 6 times my age, but 4 or 5 times my age with, basic financial stuff. And then I was like, I really enjoy this realm. Let me see where I can go. So I worked my way up from being a teller to a personal and relationship banker, all the way up to the major credit departments. And right. After a while of being in the bank and playing by their rules, I'm like, I can't do this anymore. But I'm going to go ahead and help people who look like me, because as someone who worked in the bank, I've had people talk down to me, think that I didn't know anything because of the way I looked. And I can just imagine what women consumers felt like. So that's how I started this. And not to be too long-winded or anything, but it all came full circle because my mom has been like a huge pioneer in my life. She had me when she was 19. So as you can imagine, we didn't have a lot growing up. I can look at my baby pictures and see that we didn't have furniture for quite some time. And just watching her go from making $6 an hour to 6 figures and building her own legacy, despite any romantic relationship that she might have been involved in. it let me know how important it is for us to create our own everything so that we can make necessary decisions in our life without being financially strained.
Yeah, yeah, I love it. And I think it's funny because I always say it's funny, but it's not. We tell these stories about our parents and how they worked their ways up, and how much inspiration that they gave us from doing what they did with what they have. And then we look back on the back end and we say, the tips that they gave us technically don't work. Go to school, get a good education, and get a good job, right? So it's that dichotomy of, yeah, the information works. Yes, it worked for you, but it no longer works. How do you ever come into any type of discrepancy in terms of showing the appreciation and the adoration, and then like picking up the mantle and taking it further? Like, if you and your mom ever said, all right, mom, that don't work no more. Like, I know you got your six figures and that's great, and I'm proud of you, but I'm in California, six figures, you still broke. So, like, how does that conversation go?
Well, I know for the longest, especially while in high school, we got to pick our electives, and she was pushing so hard for me to get my, uh, computer certifications like CompTIA and all that. And I'm just
Yes.
like, this is boring. I'm not about to do this. Like, granted, they make really great money, but that
Yeah.
just was not my lane. And, there was never a discussion of me not wanting to go to college, because I wanted to go. I actually wanted to go to an HBCU, but it didn't work out how I wanted to.
Okay.
There was just so many stigmas around HBCUs that my mom was just not having. So,
A
but
different world didn't help at all,
no.
huh?
But even though I went to school, I'm glad I went down this path, and I'm glad that my mom really didn't force me as much. Because one thing about me, I was really headstrong, still headstrong. I don't care who you are. If I say I'm not going to do it, I'm not going to do
Right.
it.
Yes.
um, so when she was like, "Yeah, you should go to school for this. You should go to school," I dropped out of college because it was a waste of my time and my money. I learned a lot more working in the actual banking field than going to school for business administration or finance.
Yeah.
And we talk now, and I'm giving her financial advice. Mom, set up your 401k like this so you can max out your 401k. Mom, go ahead and do this so you can have X amount of dollars in your brokerage account by the time you want to retire. Mom, go ahead and get this life insurance policy so you can pass it down. I'm
Right.
now her information source. So she's learned that Tika's going to do what she wants to do, and it's going to work out eventually.
I love it. I love it. Before I jump into all of my questions, I have to say, I've been watching, your page for quite some time, and because I have a similar background, like, it's funny, I worked at Bank of America at 15, 16, and the only thing that I learned working at Bank of America is that it was too much money in the bank for them to be paying me what they were paying.
Hmm.
Like, I felt like if I could see it, they had to know I could see the money. Like, you got to give me some more of this, because this eight that you giving me, like, at the time, I think, yeah. Anyway, so that's all I learned. But one of the things that I've learned through my career is that it's one thing to be unbanked, right? But it's another thing to not know how to maneuver in a bank. What do you think people are missing in terms of, outside of just the literacy of finances? What are we missing about savings accounts and banking, and the normal, walking to a branch? What are people missing out that they could capitalize
Well, honestly, I think people need to go in with a different mindset when they're looking for, savings accounts, or CDs or anything like that, because a lot of people still have this idea of, oh, if I make good money and I save this money, I'm good for the rest of my life. No, you're losing
on? Right.
money.
Yeah.
And, bankers are not going to talk you out of signing up for an account with them. That's money
Ever.
out of their pocket, and that's money out
Right.
of the bank.
Yeah.
So I think what people are missing is, an actual plan of what they're trying to accomplish when they're looking for certain accounts, and when they are looking to accomplish certain things financially. It's not the bank's job to educate you.
Mm.
It's their job to sell you on accounts. It's their job to get as many fees out of you as they possibly can.
Yeah. Yeah. And we saw that with Wells Fargo when they had that thing going on back in the day. And I can name drop because I ain't scared of Wells Fargo. I'm scared of IRS. I ain't scared of Wells Fargo.
Yeah. I I used to work for Wells Fargo for like a hot 5 minutes, and after that,
She said a hot 5.
no, I'm good.
That is so funny. Three main components of building wealth. Can you talk about the do-it-all budget, the elimination plan, and my favorite, the money growth?
Yes. So I know a lot of people like tend to roll their eyes when I talk about budget because financial
They're
talking.
evil. Budgets are evil.
They're not though. Like it sounds like it because financial talking heads for the longest have, said, oh, your budget is, if you aren't where you are supposed to be financially or where you want to be financially, you should just, work, pay bills, and die until you get to that point. And I'm just like, no, that's not how this works. That's not how people build relationships with their money. Well, that's an abusive relationship. so, so the do it all budget for me, it essentially allows you to do it all. Yes, you need to take care of your mandatory expenses, but you also need to save and invest because that's what's taking care of the old you. So the young you needs to be nice to the old you.
Nice. Okay, I got it.
You need to go ahead and take care of any extra debt that you have. So not just paying the minimum payments because you're just leaving thousands of dollars on the table. And then, of course, you need to be able to have fun. If you're working 40 plus hours a week or any amount of hours per week, you need to be able to enjoy your life. I don't believe we were sit here or put here to pay bills and die. That's not a life that I will subscribe to or have anybody else to subscribe to. So I think if people start to look at their budget as, it allows you to do it all with balance without negatively impacting your financial goals, then budgeting would be a lot easier for people.
Awesome. So when I say budgets are evil, I say that because I'm in a house with a lot of women. And so when I hear the word budget, all that means is that everybody gets what they want except for me. Right? Like I'm the one that gets the no. So that's why I say budgets are evil. But I do understand. You know what took me a long time to understand is that if you can adhere to a budget for a certain amount of time, like I am all about 90-day blitzes, right? So I will do a budget for 90 days with the expressed intent for whatever I have after that 90 days. I can use that to, go buy the watch I was looking for, or I can use that to, put some money down on the stock that I've been eyeing because I am all about, investing and making sure that I have money working for me while I'm asleep because I like to sleep because I'm an insomniac and I don't get enough. But that's another story. But how do you help people understand budgets when it sounds like to somebody that doesn't understand finances, budgeting sounds like I already don't have enough money and now you want me to budget and tell myself no. How do you have that conversation?
Well, I just ripped the Band-Aid off. I'm not really trying to anything.
Fair. Somehow I knew that was coming.
Like, I get it, budgeting isn't fun when you've been told all of your life that your budget should be restrictive or that it should look a certain way. But I just sit down with whoever I'm talking to, or if it's just a course, and I'm like, listen, I know what you've been told. I know, this is a new realm and it's going to give you a little bit of anxiety, but you're going to love yourself that much more when you actually understand how to create a balanced budget because you'll still be able to live your life. It's not going to feel as restrictive. You might not be able to go, to Fiji for a whole month, but you might be able to head over to the Philippines and spend $1,000 and you have a good vacation because the Philippines is not expensive. So it's all about, creating that balance and giving people the realistic expectation that, yes, you can still live your life, but we also want to structure this in a way that you aren't, messing your life up either. Because, that treat yourself or the you only live once. People are still saying that, which is weird. It's like you don't want to overindulge to the point that you are bankrupt.
Right. Right. Or that you live once and towards the end of that you are, pretty much homeless or, in some kind of predicament. Yeah. Debt elimination. That is a new buzzword in the social media streets, right? Everybody is cancel your debt. I knew I was gonna get at least one eye roll. That's how I knew if the podcast is going good, I was gonna get at least one eye roll. Um, because I mean, we're on some of the same pages and we watch some of the same things, and then of course, a community, you follow the same things, get retweeted or whatever the case is. But debt elimination is like a buzzword now. There are competing thought processes in tackling the largest debt first or the smallest debt first? What is your advice to uh,
Anytime anyone comes to me and they tell me that their goal is to build generational wealth, then we're only going to talk about tackling the most expensive debt first. Simply because tackling the most expensive debt first is going to save you the most money and interest in the long run. And typically speaking, if we're looking at the average consumer, their most expensive debt is going to be their student loans or their credit card debt. And because those two are compounding interest, you're paying your principal plus interest again. So I always break it down like this because I like to gloat a little bit. And I tell people, hey, I've helped my clients save up to $170,000 on interest on their mortgage, or up to $20,000 on student loan interest, or up to $2,500 on credit card interest, simply because of us tackling those most expensive debts first. And I know there are people out there that will say you should do the snowball method because it helps you with your reward system. What people need to understand with finance is you need to get in bed with delayed gratification. And delayed gratification is what's going to save you the most money. Like, what can you do with an extra $170,000 that you would have paid on interest over the years? What could you do with an extra $20,000? Yeah, so the snowball method will let you know that you are paying off debt because you're seeing that $500 balance be gone in 30 days. Whereas the most expensive debt is going to take you a while to see the difference, but you have to internalize that, hey, on the back end, I'm saving the most money. So yeah, I can't see it now, but I know that avalanche of money that's going to sit in my bank account because I save money on interest is going to be amazing.
Yeah, see, delayed. That's another one. Delayed gratification. These every time I talk finance, there's just so many words I just don't like. It's
Yeah.
just, it's just delayed gratification in the internet age is just something that's we're not used to, and that's why I think the snowball method tends to get so much free press, is because
Mm-hmm.
you get to feel the win and you get to have an extra $100 in your pocket and all that good stuff. But I definitely think that your thought process is more along the line of what most people should do, because once that big weight is gone, then you could do multiple things with the extra money that you save in interest as well as in payments. Money growth.
Yes.
How do we address it? See, this is my I'm gonna sit up. How do we how do we address money growth? What are the maybe two or three ways that the average person, 9 to 5, everybody's not an entrepreneur, everybody's not built to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
For the 9 to 5, what's the best way, two or three ways that they can grow their money?
Definitely stocks. You have long-term and short-term investments. If you're going to deal with me, we're going to really focus on the long-term investments because that's what takes care of you when you retire and the next generations. Then, of course, you have life insurance that can be a really great tool for money growth while you are alive. There are a lot of people, especially in like competitive markets, that will say, oh, you should buy term and invest the rest, but the numbers don't add up. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
Especially for the average person who doesn't know how to invest in stocks or will never invest in stocks.
that
So you
part.
have something like the IUL, where the Index Universal Life Policy, where it's a permanent policy that will last you until age 120 years old. But then you can overfund it without triggering taxes, and you get tax-free growth and tax-free access to cash that you can use for retirement, building businesses, paying for real estate investments, things like that. Now, it's not a saving grace for everything. There is, of course, there are its own drawbacks, but I have a couple of policies. My husband has a couple of policies. And when we have kids, they're going to have a couple of policies.
I love it. I love it. Now, the IUL is something that we don't hear a lot about, right? We obviously, you get whole and you get term and you get the indexed or whatever the case is. Is that something that's readily available for most people if they go to their normal insurance agent? Or is that something that, they have to go through a certain company to?
Normally, it's readily available. The main company that I go through is Nationwide, simply because I'm a sucker for good customer service.
Yeah.
I don't play with bad customer service and my money. I used a different life insurance company maybe 2 years ago, and I had my policy with them for all of 90 days. And after that, I was like, y'all can go ahead and close this and give me my money back because this is not gonna work out. But
Love it.
most of the major life insurance or insurance companies will have their own version of an IUL.
Okay, got it. And so in that same realm, life insurance to for money growth, is that something that people should have, in your opinion, strictly for the next generation, so that they start with a head start? Or do you look at it as preparation, or do you look at it as, I can, if I stay alive till I'm 60, 70, 80, I can use the cash and go from
All of them.
there?
All of them. So,
Okay.
because that's the thing too. A lot of people don't like talking about life insurance simply because it's a precursor to, oh, you're talking about death. Well, we all die.
Right,
Just hopefully,
right.
when we're old and
We
gray.
got some time. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I love
Um,
it.
but it's something that you can use to take care of you in retirement. It's something that you can give to your children when it's time for them to take over, or if they're the next in line. It can have multiple functions. And the good thing about these policies is you can have multiple. So you can have one strictly to take care of your burial needs and your retirement. You can have another to take care of real estate investment. You can have another to take care of college. Whatever the case is, you are able to have multiple for multiple jobs.
So let's talk about, before I jump into my next question, I want to stay here for just a second. There is a savings plan specifically for college. Can you talk to me and the listeners about what that is? Because everybody got a couple kids somewhere, except for the smart people. And can you talk to us about that and how we can leverage that to pay for college, even though I feel like that's an expense that's not for them?
So you do have 529 plans.
Yes.
They are good options for higher education and paying for school. Um, they are not my favorite. Um, if you are someone who wants to, save up for your kid to do something, I'd rather you go with a Roth IRA, but it depends on, your financial goals. 529 plans are good for, they have the purpose of saving for higher education, but if the child doesn't use it for higher education, there's a penalty.
Right.
Whereas with Roth IRAs, they can, use it for whenever they need to use it.
Absolutely. Then you have the tax benefits as well.
Yes.
Thank you. I love that. I always want to make sure that people are able to shorten the learning curve, right? I think the reason that I even started the podcast is because I want people to understand that even if, just because you're going through something doesn't mean that you're going through it alone, right? And so the questions that you have, chances are somebody else has.
And sorry, one thing I want to add
yeah.
to the 529 plan, since it is for higher education, I think as generations go on, especially what we've noticed in COVID, college is not going to be the forefront of everyone's mind, those younger generations.
Absolutely.
If you talk to your kids about, hey, what is it that you want to help people do, and help them narrow down what they, where their path is going to be, it will
Yes.
also help you determine what type of account to get them. If your kid says, if you notice your kid is really great with their hands and, they like playing with tools, might want to put him into like a carpenter trade or trade school that teaches him carpentry. And 529
Right.
plans will take care of that too. But Roth IRAs would probably be better because trade school's not that expensive compared to college. So I think if you sit down and narrow down what your kids are interested in and what they want to do when they're older, instead of saying, oh, you got to go to college because I never went, then it will be a lot easier to determine what type of account to get them.
I love it. Yeah, because it's funny. I posted today on Twitter. I said, imagine having all of this knowledge at your fingertips, and the only thing that you choose to do with it is follow celebrity gossip. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, a lot of kids now, I think, are so much more intuitive and smart about what they want to do, that I think a lot of them are going to raise us sooner than we started raising our parents, right? So.
I had a 17-year-old send me a DM earlier, and she was just like, I really appreciate the information that you're putting out. It's been helpful to me. And although I can't do anything with it now, I know where I can start. I even had a 2-year-old And I was just like, where are y'all coming from?
I love it. I love it. I have four daughters, and three of them religiously will watch the podcast, and they're like, "Daddy, do we have her book? Daddy, do we have her class?" And I'm like, "All right, I got it. I got it." So I think that those are the type of kids that, like you said, they're in tune, right? They can see the forest for the trees, so to speak. Um, when you first popped up on my timeline, I don't remember who suggested that I follow you, but you knew I was gonna bring this up. I saw the Kiss My Assets hoodie. And then I saw it a couple of times, and the more I thought about it, and as I've started to interact with you, and we joke every once in a while, that hoodie is so you. It is absolutely you. How do you in that vein, how do you help people explain the vision of asset accumulation?
Mm, that's actually a hard question. How do I explain to people the vision of asset accumulation?
Yeah, and before, the reason that I asked that is because I think, again, we're in this time where there's tons of buzzwords, right? Where everybody's like, "I'm an asset," and does that, and I'm like, you kind of are a liability, but cool. I understand
Yeah.
what you thought you were saying, right? I get it, but can you talk to us about somebody that comes to you again? I want to talk to the person that is still working their 9 to 5, luckily during COVID, and they understand that a house is an asset, of course, but in terms of accumulation, how do you paint that vision to get someone that's working with you to say, I know you have this and you're comfortable, but you could have this. How do you paint that vision?
Well, it's more so getting to understand what is it that they want to accomplish. The reason why a lot of people are stuck is simply because they can't fully articulate what their financial goals are. Like people say, "Oh, I just want to be comfortable," and I had to get my husband out that mindset for a while. Like, I just want to be comfortable. Nah, that's too lukewarm
She
for
said,
me.
not with me.
But it's the, hey, well, what is it that you would like to accomplish? Like, in a perfect world, what do you want your family structure to look like? What do you want them to not have to worry about? And then kind of just bring that to a forefront. And once they have that answer, okay, well, in order for you to accomplish that and make that perfect world for yourself, you need these assets. You need to accumulate assets so you can pass down. Because one thing that we've all noticed is that in this country, a dollar can help you avoid a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And when
Yeah.
you do the work now and accumulate those assets so that your next generations can reap the benefits, then go ahead and head over to that asset utopia and get you a couple of them and sit on them for generations to come.
The asset utopia.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it. Um, Sometimes it's not about the budget though, right? Sometimes it's that we simply don't make enough money.
correct.
How do we have that hard conversation in terms of knowing when it's time to scale back and when it's time to look at, we have Hulu, Netflix, Disney Plus, Prime. I don't let nobody mess with my Prime, but you know what I'm saying. Like, we got all these different things, uh, and we don't necessarily know where our money is going. Like, I saw one of your TikToks and you was like, "Oh hell," you did the little. I think I reposted. Got me talking in my high voice, but like, how do you have that conversation and let people know that it's time to scale back?
Again, it's ripping off that band-aid because I don't sugarcoat anything with anyone. Because it's like, you can't hop on a Zoom call with me and tell me, hey, I want to have, $10,000 saved up in the next 10 months. Okay, cool, that's doable. But what you're doing now is not going to let you do it, like, at all. You're spending $500 a month on eating out plus groceries. You have 1,000,005 subscriptions that you don't use. You have
Yeah,
clothes that you're buying, and you still have clothes in your closet with the tags on it. And on top of that, you have too much financial bleeding, and you possibly don't make enough money. So it's that, okay, well, let's figure out what can you cut back on without you feeling like you're going to have a heart attack.
yeah.
And then what are you willing to commit to over these next 6 to 12 to 18 months so you can accomplish these goals? Because, I mean, granted, not everyone is built for entrepreneurship, but everyone is built for multiple streams of income. So
Say that. Say that.
one source of income is way too close to none. We've noticed in COVID, it doesn't matter how cushy you think your job is and how stable you think your job market is. If a company says they want to cut back, they're gonna cut back. Even those companies that got the PPP loans, instead of using that to keep employees, they laid them off and stashed that money.
So, right, and invested it mostly. Like yeah.
Most likely.
We're gonna see some American Greed episodes real soon about what happened with the PPP loans. Like I'm sure of
it. Yeah. But people need to take pages out of their book though, because these companies, yeah, you might work for, I don't know why Nike just popped into my head, but you might work for Nike. And Nike has other, ventures that they have going on. They're making money on multiple fronts. And their name might not be immediately attached to it, but they're still making money off of it. So you need to do the same thing. So yeah, you might not want to, have a brick and mortar business, or you might not want to go full on business coach or whatever the case is, but something that you can monetize and you build it once and scale, and that's it. Heck, I talk about affiliate income all the time, because on, I think Monday, I was doing nothing and made $100 from affiliate marketing. So
love it. That is one of my favorite ways to leverage the internet, is affiliate marketing. That's another conversation for another time, but yeah, we can talk. That's my friend right there.
But it's like, you have to make sure that you are taking care of yourself. Like if you give someone 100% ability to control whether or not you're going to eat, that's a problem. So you need to find a way to increase the amount of income coming into your household.
Absolutely agree. In that vein, what happens in the scenario when you have the conversation and it's going well, right? And so they've agreed to cut off Disney Plus and Hulu and possibly, what is it, Blue Apron or whatever, you get the food delivered to you, the prep meals or whatever. So let's say they cut back a couple of things, it's going well, and now they're like, oh, I want to go all in, and now I want to be uber aggressive. Is there another conversation that has to happen in terms of learning how to have better money habits, just because you've seen a little bit of success, like to not be overly aggressive? Like, I've braided my daughter's hair, I'm not opening no shop. You know what I mean? So how do you have that conversation with clients as well?
Like it's just one of those things where you tell them you don't need to overdo it. Because when you swing from one extreme to the other, you're going to crash hard in the middle somewhere, and you don't want that. So it's when you start seeing the success, pat yourself on the back, treat yourself because you deserve it, but treat yourself with a limit, or to a certain extent, because it's like going on a diet, right? Nobody likes going on a diet. I failed.
Those are evil too.
Multiple times. But when because my husband was trying to get me to do keto, and when you tell me I can't do carbs, I'm looking at you crazy, because
who wants to give up Cinnabon and cheesecake? Like
exactly.
Well, that's proof God exists.
I told him what I will do and what I can do is cut down on the carbs. But when I want a cookie, I'm gonna get a cookie. If I want to drive down to Cranky Granny's, I'm driving down to Cranky Granny's. Like, but when
I love it.
You're able to scratch that itch, it makes it a lot easier for you to manage your money and manage your life at the same time.
I love it. I love it. Is there a part of building a business that you wish you would have known prior to jumping in? Like we always say that, if somebody would have told me XYZ, then I would have did this. But as an entrepreneur, as somebody that's building a platform that is wildly successful, like you have to balance your entertainment with the knowledge, right? Because I be entertained. I've been watching them and I'm just like, that is so, I'm sharing everything. Like, this is hilarious. But how do you, what would you see? That's when they both kick in, the Red Bull and the coffee. What do you wish you would have learned prior to launching your business that you probably would have been a little better at scaling or a little faster to implement?
How to pick a proper social media platform.
Mm.
So I'm not gonna say I'm regretting Instagram. I'm not, because it had its perks and it has its perks now. However, if someone would have told me to look at your social media platforms as if you're going into a business partnership, that would be a completely different. I would be on a completely different platform. So as you probably have
Mm.
noticed, I am scaling
Pivoting.
YouTube now.
Yes.
Um, I have I have made more money on YouTube with 500 subscribers in a week than I have on Instagram in a week last week.
Wow. Wow.
And it's because my ideal target audience is on YouTube. Instagram, people aren't going on Instagram to learn anything. I mean, because when you get on Instagram and you say, okay, I'm gonna create my business and I'm gonna create information, you
Yeah.
are essentially disrupting what people are getting on Instagram for. So
Mm.
it takes a lot longer to convert. And granted, there are people killing it on Instagram, making hundreds of
Absolutely.
thousands of dollars per month. But for me and my personality, I don't want to be on Instagram, TikToking and reeling it up all day. I don't want to have to post 7 to 10 times a day to get in front of people.
Yes.
Whereas on
Yes.
on YouTube, I haven't posted anything last week or this week yet, but I have my what's the video? 10 side hustles to start for 2021. That video has been doing good numbers and giving me subscribers and making me money.
Yes. I love it.
So it's like, I wish someone would have told me that when you pick your platform, that you pick your platform based off of who you would like to service. Because
Mm.
although I've gotten really great clients off of it, because I've pivoted my business multiple times in these last 3 years, I have a mishmash of people that shouldn't be following me.
Gotcha. Gotcha. No, that makes total sense. And I think it's, if we work backwards, a lot of people tell you, a lot of business coaches or entrepreneurship coaches, air quotes, will tell you that you need to be everywhere and then filter your clients, right? they they will tell you to be everywhere, learn your demographics first, and then filter your clients, right? And in some cases, that's very fair information. Like your if you build it, they will come. But I think if yours is more palpable because it's an intention, right? You know that people that are on YouTube typically have time to be on YouTube, right? They're not being on Instagram just scrolling because they're on the bus or something to do. No shade to anybody on the bus. Actually, nobody's on the bus right now. Cool. Um, but to that point, so do you use a different model now? Because it's still the same, I would assume, still pretty much the same contact list, your email list, letting people know that you've pivoted. Have you noticed the content changed? Have you noticed you said a frequency change in posting, but in terms of your structural offerings, we're still getting them back to the same information of that finance chip?
Yes. So one of the huge things that I did the last 2 weeks of 2020 was I made a post and I'm like, listen, I'm not selling individual courses anymore. Like, I'm not. One, because it didn't allow me to have the impact that I wanted. I saw people purchasing the courses, which was cool, but I'm really into mutually beneficial relationships. And if I see that you're not opening your courses, I'm not about to do it. But I've narrowed my offerings down to 2 offerings: my Tripwire, which I consider my wealth builders kit, and then I have my premium coaching, my 12-week coaching. So that way, I'm helping people intentionally, but I'm now have one funnel. Like, that's it. So you
Love
watch a
it.
video on YouTube. If the video that you're watching is based on finance, and I say, hey, if you found this information helpful and you want to start your wealth building journey, go ahead and click the link down below and join my 5-day challenge. And it puts them through a funnel that gets them through my Tripwire, and then that gets them through my coaching eventually, if that's in their budget or their desire. So amplify my business model instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to create this course this week, I'm going to do a masterclass next week, and I'm going to create different marketing schemes for all of it. I don't have time for it. And I got burnt out. And I
Yes.
almost walked away from that finance chick because I'm like, you know what?
Wow.
This isn't worth it. But what wasn't worth it was the people at the time I was attracting compared to the people I'm attracting now.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's huge, and one of the lessons that entrepreneurs can learn from that, dream chasers in general, is to, sometimes less is more, right? Sometimes you have to do what works for you versus what everybody is telling you. Like I had Tremaine Wills on the show, and she, is in the finance realm as well, and we had a very spirited conversation about LLC Twitter, right? Because LLC Twitter want everybody to flip their stimulus checks into a business, and you making $12,000 in 2 weeks, and it's like,
Oh God.
yeah. But so let me ask you, what is the one thing you wish people would stay away from in terms of social media and the thing that you see even your clients do and that you have to correct? Like, what do you wish you could jump on a megaphone and yell to everybody, stop doing what?
Stop comparing your journey to somebody else's. What you see on social media is what they want you to see. You don't see, the nights that they're up stressing about a funnel or an email sequence or, how long it took them to make this money or if they've even made that money. Like, stop. Everyone has their own journey and their own time frame. Like, I get it, but you can't compare your chapter 1 to someone's chapter 30.
Yeah. Yeah. How much time do you spend studying your industry in terms of being a student of the game so that you can be on top of the new offerings and stop the faces? Um, on top of the new offerings, on top of, creating content, how much time do you spend grinding?
Um, it's weird to even think of it that way because I really enjoy finance. So I might like just be on someone's like financial YouTube or reading articles and stuff because I'm genuinely interested in it. Like I don't put it
Yes.
as, oh, I'm dedicating this time simply to learn. But I would say at least 20 hours a week.
Nice.
And really, because I've simplified my offerings and what I am providing to people, I don't necessarily have to spend 20 to 40 hours a week learning anymore.
Right.
Whereas I still don't do it because that's what I'm interested in. But
Right.
because I've simplified what I want to do for people, I don't have to know it all and I don't have to be
Got
it
it.
all for everyone.
I love it. I love it. There's a personal level of mental clarity. Trying to use, non-East Oakland words. Uh, but there's a personal level of clarity knowing that you have time to do both, right? Obviously, you're married and you have a business that you're running. And so most people that are trying to get up and running will say that there's not enough time to do both. And I think that's because we're trying to do everything, right? Like, let's perfect one thing, get that up and running, automate it as much as you can. Then you can do two and three, if you so choose. Um, has there been times when, no, I won't even ask it that way. Who does Attiquewa go to when she needs coaching or when she needs to learn about XYZ in business?
Ooh. Um, and this is someone I consider like a big sister of mine, but at King Ashley Ann on Instagram.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
She was my first coach. She was my first, well,
Wow.
I'm not going to say she was my first introduction to coaching. There was one lady that I was, following because, it's YouTube. You type in business help or whatever, and she pops up, and I'm just like, she boring, and I can't do it. I am
She
not her
said she bored. I don't care how good the information is. She boring.
mom.
We're not gonna say her name. Like
No,
that's no, we not.
no. But Ashley has been pretty much in my business since like the third month of me starting.
Wow.
Um,
Awesome.
so I literally look at her like my big sister. She's the main person that has helped me. Now, because I have changed my business models, not so much anymore because we have different business models now.
Absolutely.
But anytime that I need to, throw some ideas against the wall, I try to ask my husband, but he ain't no help. He's like, I'm not your audience. I can't help you. I'm not a woman.
That is so, see, because we buy ourselves, tell husband that whiskey is on me because we get left out all the time. So I'm gonna hook husband up. We're gonna get some whiskey together, and then we're gonna talk about being left in the back room while y'all do y'all thing for all the women.
Well, anyway, um, but there is someone that I met through Ashley.
Okay.
So she has become like my business bestie. And then I
Okay.
also met, well, both the ladies I met through Ashley. So they're the people that I like bounce ideas off of, and they bounce ideas off of me. There
Nice.
was an idea that I had earlier this week, and I just felt them like cussing me out through the phone without them cussing me out, because I was like, this is what I want to do. And it's like, no. No, this is not what you're about to do. You're going to drive yourself insane. Don't do it. You're not supposed to help everyone. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, fine. But between those three ladies, they are, my business backbone.
I love it. I love it. If you had to define, we're getting close to wrapping up. But if you had to define the word belief, what would you say that word means to you?
Faith, like having a lot of faith, because believing something is you having faith that you can see what isn't, what hasn't come to fruition yet. And being a business owner for me has caused me to step out on so much faith. Like, I am someone who will second guess myself. I am
Yeah.
someone who falls prey to imposter syndrome. Um,
Yeah.
like, I am someone who I will self-sabotage myself. And so it's belief is faith for me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny because I think we coming into this space and having the podcast, I have heard the word imposter syndrome circulating around for like the last year. And so I have a couple of people that coach me as well. And then I have someone that I look up to. And she was like, Chuck, if you don't get on a live before this week is out, we gonna fight and I'm changing my number. You never have access to me again. And in my head, I'm like, well, listen, you just gonna have to change your number. I'm not getting on no live. That's not, I'm talking in my high voice again. That's not what's gonna happen. But then I did it. And for the first few minutes, imposter syndrome kicks in. But once I was up and running, it was like, y'all not even scary. Like, like the people
Yeah.
not even scary. So belief is huge. Belief is part of what keeps you going. What about the word vision?
See, I'm a vision board addict. I need to be able to see. I need to be able to see my vision before I can go into it. So yeah, somebody can clearly tell me, "Oh, you can make $1 million this month." If I can't see it, it's just not going to happen. Right. So for me, vision is having the foresight of, what you can actually accomplish if you have all the tools.
Nice.
So that's pretty much it for me.
That's pretty much it. Last word would be execution. What does that word mean for you and that finance chick?
It's either you do it or you don't. Like, you can read so many books, you can watch so many videos, you can go through so many master classes, but if you just don't do it, you don't want it enough. If you don't love yourself enough to execute on your goals, then that's a personal problem that you need to work out with you, a therapist, and Jesus.
All three.
Because at the end of the day, it's one of those things where, yeah, you can have all the tools at your disposal, but that's saying you can bring the horse to the well, but you can't make it drink.
Right. So I struggle with I won't say trying to help people understand the why, but there are people that know their why but don't have the vision to get past it. And so in that realm, personally, I tell people that you need to, like you said, you need to work on that first. because otherwise you continue to sabotage, spin the wheel, and you'll keep starting over. Um, have you found that having those mentors has helped your business from having to do complete reboots? Because pivoting and changing the model is one thing, but having to do complete reboots and starting over is another. So, how important is mentorship, I guess, been to you?
Mentorship is very, very important. If I didn't have someone like Ashley to help me get started and understand like the whole business model, I'm someone who will research everything to death before I execute. And but it's like a double-edged sword because yeah, I want to go in informed, but I I'll start to overthink it and it won't go anywhere. Where having someone who's already gone through the process says, "Hey, do this, then go here. If that doesn't work, we're gonna do this, and you're gonna go
Right.
here." Mentorship takes time, but it saves you so much time, money, and energy.
Yeah.
If I didn't have her, me being where I am now probably wouldn't have happened.
I love it. Well, we are thankful because you are absolutely killing it. I couldn't think of anyone else that, I wanted to start the year off with finance guests specifically because, like I said, we have these New Year's lies, resolutions that we tell to ourselves about money and working out and all that stuff. But personally, I can't think of, had Tremaine on. But outside of YouTube, there's people that I just would not want to bring in front of this audience. Like we've been able to grow it globally, tons of states, except for some weird ones uh, that have been able to listen. And I just wouldn't want to have anyone else but you to jump on because I think that not only are your offerings amazing, but your platform is second to none. Second to none. The content is amazing.
Thank you,
Absolutely.
thank you, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been rocking with the Hawk Vision podcast. Attiquewa Green, that finance chick. Let everybody know where they can find you online.
So y'all heard me say that I'm on Instagram. I'm on there as that finance chick. But if you're someone who likes more long-term content, you are going to want to hit me up on YouTube as that finance chick as well.
Awesome. Like, share, subscribe across all of your major social media platforms, making sure you share this with other visionaries just like you. Attiquewa Green, this is the Hawk Vision Podcast. We will talk.